Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash. I'd like to say double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and teach well. And also Shalom and salutations to the brothers out there laboring in this work as well. So this lesson that I'm going to be getting into today, it's going to be going into, the impact that music has on your spirit, you know and music does affect you, whether you believe it or not. It does affect you, and it could either affect you for the positive or for the negative, you know and one thing about music, it taps into emotions. It's like it's spiritual, in other words, music is spiritual, you see. Um and this was inspired, by a lot of things, you know. First, the brother Napash from the camp, and also the elder apostle Tahar, the video he did, you know, going into how you see the elder apostle Tahar went into how um that music, I'm gonna quote him. He mentioned that that music, you know you're able to understand music. I'm putting it in my own words, but you're able to understand music without even knowing the language, that the song is being sung in. If that makes sense. For example, he went into how there was a Moabite, a so-called Chinese woman, who was singing SZA's a snooze song, but she, barely spoke English. She barely could speak English, but she could sing that song perfectly. So music is beyond, is deeper than just music. It's a spiritual thing, because um for her to be able to do that, as this video here, this video that I was watching, is going into how music affects your brain. It went into how it taps, it hits, when music is being played and being felt, it taps into all parts of the brains are activated. You know, you see, so that woman, that Moabite woman, that sung that song of SZA, barely speaking English, but she could sing that song perfectly. That's the effect. That's spiritual, man. That's almost like it's like spiritual power, in a sense, you know. So let me get this in the book of First Samuel, uh, First Samuel chapter 16 and verse. I'm gonna start at verse 12, and it says, "And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ready, and withal of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And Yahweh said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he." So this is going into King David being anointed, being chosen to be the next ruler or the next king of the nation of Israel at that time. Verse 13, it says, "Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of Yahweh came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of Yahweh departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from Yahweh troubled him." You see, so because King Saul was the anointed at one point, but through disobedience, that anointing was stripped from him. The Spirit of the Lord departed from him. It left him. And when that happened, is what? An evil spirit came and troubled him. And that same evil spirit was sent from the Lord Yahweh, proving that the Lord is in control of both sides, both the evil and the good. Because the Lord can put a good spirit on you, but he could also put an evil spirit on you. And the Lord is in control of both sides. Verse 15, it says, "And Saul's servants said unto him, Behold now, an evil spirit from the Most High troubleth thee. Let our Lord now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out a man, who is a cunning player on an harp. And it came to pass when the evil spirit of the Most High, and it come to pass when the evil spirit from the Most High is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. So they were looking for a man that could play the harp, which a harp is a music instrument. There's melodies, and a frequency that it gives out. So this melody and frequency was able to appease or bring King Saul to ease when he was troubled, by that evil spirit. You see? Oh, and another thing about music, when I was looking it up, how it affects the different parts of the brain. When I was doing a bit of research, uh, I ran across how that some disabled people, you know, some people that weren't able to speak, whether they were in a car crash or anything traumatic happened to them, and they were paralyzed and weren't able to speak. Their nerves were dis uh, basically cut off. You know, it went into how that through music, those people were able to tap into different parts of their brains and learn to speak again. But through music, like through melodies, through hymns, you know, through that vibration. You see, just adding on to proving that music, melodies and things like that, and rhymes and words being put together on a beat, and rhythm, play a big part, man. It's a spiritual thing, you know. Verse 17. Oh, even this, the truth is referred to as music sometimes. It's known to as music. This wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Verse 17. It says, and Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. So this wasn't just any musician. King David wasn't just any musician, but he was the best at what he did, and he was good at it, man. Verse 18, and it says, then answered one of the servants and said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is a cunning player, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and Yahweh is with him. You see, so Yahweh being with King David, that spirit of Yahweh being upon King David made him playing the harp even much more emphasized, man. It was much more emphasized because the Lord was dealing with him. And that's what happens with the men of the Lord. Anything that they do, and the Lord is with them, it's emphasized. It's because the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Ashai is channeling through them. You see, that's even with the nation of Israel. Anything the nation of Israel does, it's dramatic. It's like it's heavy, man. It's special. It's peculiar because they're the Lord's chosen people. And the spirit of the Lord is directly channeling through them, man. That's because the Lord is not dealing with any other nation but the nation of Israel. Which the nation of Israel today, they're known as the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's why they're dominant in everything they do, in the sports and entertainment and music. Because all these things, all these categories, you need to have the spirit. You need to have a particular kind of spirit to be able to, play basketball, to be able to cross over, to be able to dunk, to be able to do a windmill, to be able to do it between the legs, to be able to, act, to be able to play music, to be able to dance, to have rhythm. You need a special spirit in you. And that's why the nation of Israel is so dominant at what they do, man. Because they're the Lord's people. Verse 19, it says, wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid. and sent them by David his son unto Samuel. And David came to Saul, unto Saul. It says, and David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. So King Samuel, man, I'm getting excited, Salakia. So King David at the time, he gained favor from Saul, because of his spirit, how he was. He was a meek man, he was comely to look upon, you know. Verse 22, and it says, Saul sent to Jesse, saying, let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he had found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from the Most High was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed, and was well. Let me read that again. It says, so Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. So when that spirit of disturbance, that evil spirit came upon Saul, he asked David to play a hymn, a melody, and this melody, it was so powerful, it was so spiritual, that it removed that evil spirit that was on Saul and made him feel refreshed and well. And that's what music does. This proves that music has an impact on you, whether it be for good or whether it be for bad, because music can also be used as a weapon, and that's today, in modern terms, music has been weaponized, to destroy, once again, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the nation of Israel, the Israelites. Music has been turned to a weapon by their enemy, the so-called white man, to destruct them. Because what's being pushed forth in today's music, which I grew up in, I'm a younger, I grew up in this corrupt, in the era where music was destroyed, so I really didn't get to experience what it was, what soul music was, things like that, But right now, what's being pushed forth is what drill music, music promoting adultery, ass shaking, is sexualized music being sexualized, so on and so forth. Killings, it's no longer music like the 80s, the 90s, the 70s, so on and so forth, about just rhythm and blues, things like that, man. Jazz, that's done, you know. But that's why there's a lot of wicked. That's why wickedness is growing too, because that music is enhancing that, man. It's adding on to the fire, man. You know. So let's go from there to the book of Ecclesiasticus 39 and verse 39. Salaki, verse 25. It says, for the good are good things created from the beginning, so evil things for sinners. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly. So to the sinners, they are turned into evil. So I'm going to read this in the GNT. It says, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 39 and verse 25. It says, from the beginning he has made good things for the good and terrible things for sinners. The basic needs of life are these: water, fire, iron, and salt, flour, honey, and milk, wine, clothing, and oil. All these things are good to those who are devout, but they turn into evils for sinners, man. You see, so these basic necessities, that a man needs for his life, like water, fire, iron, salt, flour, honey, milk, wine, clothing, and oil. These things are good, to the godly, meaning to a good person, to someone that's devout, you know. But these things could also be turned to evil, showing you that there's two sides to things, you know. For example, with wine, scriptures speak about how if it be moderately drunk, it is a beautiful thing. Like it's a good thing. It's great. That's the best thing ever. If it be moderately drunk, you know, it makes you happy. Puts you in a good mood, so to speak. But then that same wine, could be used in uh overdoing it, you know, and then that could come with corruption. That's it being turned evil. It could be turned bad. You could use it for bad, be over drinking. What now? All of a sudden, you start getting spirits on you. You start getting aggressive. You start fighting your house. And because of that, because of overdoing it. You know, so that's two sides to that, man. You see, showing you that there's two sides to everything. And just like music, there's two sides to music. It could either be for good or it could be for bad. You know, it could put spirits on you or it could take spirits off you, man. And that's one thing about music too. That it's a roller coaster. Like it takes you on a ride. You know, the melodies. The frequency of the vibration it gives out. That's why music is a popular thing in today, man. Everybody got headphones. Everybody got something they're listening to in their ears because it's a spiritual thing, man. Music is spiritual. See? So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to say, call Halayim La Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Chakadash. Until next time, Shalom.